Ryuto Kageyama never believed in destiny. He believed in survival, and for most of his life, that was the only thing he was good at. But what breaks a man isn't the battle he loses. It's the truth he never wanted to face. Ryuto thought he had already lived through his worst night. He thought the fire that swallowed his family 15 years ago was the end of everything. But the truth is, that night was only the opening move of a much bigger game being played around him. He remembers the smell first. Smoke, wet earth, burning wood, then the screams. His mother's voice breaking into pieces. His father yelling something he couldn't understand. He was 8, too young to fight, old enough to feel terror like a blade in the heart. He ran barefoot through the forest, each step shredding his skin, breathing fire and ash. Behind him the Kageyama estate collapsed in flames, and over it all, a shadow moved calm, silent, deadly. A figure in black robes, stepping out of the inferno like a demon wearing human skin. A crescent moon, and tattoo glowing on their wrist as they lifted their blade for the final strike. Ryuto kept running until his legs collapsed. For 3 days, he fought death itself, crawling through mud, water, and hunger until he somehow reached the gates of Tenshin Academy. When he woke, he remembered nothing. Not the fire, not his family, not the tattoo, just a hollow emptiness in his chest that he carried like a second heart. He became a servant, a nameless boy who kept floors clean and mouths shut. Students mocked him, teachers ignored him. He learned to live in the shadows, where no expectations existed and no one cared enough to hurt him. Every night, he stared at the moon and wondered why it felt like it was staring back. Everything changed the day Kenji Mizushima walked into his life. Kenji heir to a powerful clan, prodigy of the sword, golden child of Tenshin Academy. People followed him without question. He never looked at servants, never cared about anyone beneath him, except Ryuto. On a cold winter afternoon, Kenji found Ryuto being beaten by the senior students. Instead of walking away, Kenji stepped in. He didn't fight them, he destroyed them. Afterward, he offered Ryuto his hand, and Ryuto, for the first time, felt like maybe fate was giving him something back. Under Kenji's guidance, Ryuto trained like a man possessed. He went from invisible servant to unstoppable warrior. Bruised knuckles, broken bones. Nights spent gasping in the dark, he endured it all because Kenji believed in him. Kenji taught him discipline, power, purpose, and Ryuto gave Kenji loyalty, blind, unshakable loyalty. For years life felt almost normal. The emptiness inside him wasn't gone, but it was quiet, controlled, until the memories returned. Faint at first, a crackling sound he couldn't explain, a burning hallway that flashed in his dreams, a shadowy figure with a glowing tattoo, and then the final blow, a scream that sounded like someone he should have loved. Ryuto began searching for answers, secretly investigating the underworld. He found whispers of an assassin known only as Phantom, a ghost with no face, no past, no mercy, a killer marked with a crescent moon, the same symbol he saw on the night his world ended. He followed the trail through corrupted merchants, broken soldiers, and dying informants until it led to an abandoned warehouse near the harbor. Dust covered the floor. Broken chains hung from the ceiling. The air felt wrong, cold, heavy, as if the truth itself was hiding in the walls. What Ryuto found inside wasn't just shocking, it was impossible. Documents scattered on a table, photos of his parents standing with a young Kenji, letters detailing alliances between the Kageyama and Mizushima clans, and at the center of the table, assassination contracts bearing the Mizushima seal, his parents' names written in bold ink. In the corner of the room, a file with one word printed across the top, Phantom. Inside, Ryuto saw a face he knew better than his own reflection. Kenji Mizushima, the man he trusted, the brother he chose, the hero he worshipped, the one who saved him. Ryuto dropped the file. His breathing froze. His world tilted. For a moment, he felt nothing. Then everything hit him at once, the rage, the confusion, the betrayal so sharp it hurt to breathe. A familiar voice stepped from the shadows. Ryuto, and that voice belonged to Kenji. Ryuto's heart slammed against his ribs as Kenji stepped into the faint light. The man who taught him strength now stood like a ghost risen from his darkest memories. Kenji didn't draw his weapon. He didn't even move to defend himself. He just looked at Ryuto with eyes that carried the weight of 15 years of lies. Kenji confessed, not in anger, not in fear, in exhaustion. He told Ryuto everything: the alliance between their clans, the rising tension, the secret knowledge Ryuto's parents discovered, the Shadow Council, a powerful underground empire manipulating bloodlines, governments, Entire nations from behind closed doors. Ryuto's parents had uncovered their existence. For that, they were marked for death. Kenji had been 16, a prodigy, loyal to his family, manipulated into believing that killing the Kageyamas would prevent a war. He carried out the order himself. He infiltrated the estate. He executed Ryuto's parents. He burned the evidence. And then, when he found young Ryuto trying to escape, he hesitated. He couldn't kill him. Instead, Kenji faked the boy's death and carried him to Tenshin Academy. There he erased Ryuto's memories using forbidden techniques, hoping to give him a chance at a new life, a clean slate, a future separate from blood and revenge. Ryuto shook. Every breath was pain. He wanted to scream, to attack, to tear everything apart, but the room felt like it was closing in. On him, the weight of the truth crushed his bones. Before he could respond, a sharp, cold voice echoed through the warehouse. "You always were too soft." Kenji, Ayami Mizushima Kenji's sister, stepped forward with a squad of elite soldiers. She smiled like a wolf. Her presence sucked the warmth out of the room, and with her came the real truth. Kenji wasn't the mastermind. The Mizushima clan wasn't the mastermind. The Shadow Council controlled everything. They ordered the assassination of the Kageyamas. They ordered the burning of the estate. And they wanted Ryuto either tamed or erased. Why? Because he was born with something rare, something dangerous through sight, a hereditary ability that could see through illusions, sense lies, and unravel any deception. It was a power the council feared. Ayami revealed that Ryuto had been marked since birth. His entire life was engineered. His survival, his memory loss, his training under Kenji, all of it served one purpose: shape him into a weapon they could eventually control. Ayami lifted her hand and gave a single command: kill him. The warehouse exploded into chaos. Kenji stepped in front of Ryuto, blades flashing like lightning. For years he had been Ryuto's mentor. Now he became his shield, not for forgiveness, not for redemption, but because the truth finally broke him too. He had spent his entire life obeying the council. This fight was the first decision he made for himself. Ryuto moved beside him, instinct taking over. They fought back to back, the floor slick with dust and blood. Soldiers fell one by one. The ceiling cracked from explosions. The building shook under the fury of battle. Ayami retreated to higher ground and triggered the detonators hidden around the warehouse. The floor split open. A deafening roar ripped through the room, and in the chaos Ryuto fell crashing through the collapsing ground into darkness. The fall should have killed him, but instead he landed in a cavern older than anything above. Torches lit by ancient magic flickered to life as he stood, stone murals carved with symbols. He instinctively recognized his clan's legacy. Scenes of warriors with eyes glowing like fire, guardians of sealed truths, protectors of a power deeper than human understanding. At the center of the cavern stood a crystal altar. Its glow pulsed like a heartbeat. Carved into the stone were words written in an ancient tongue Ryuto had never seen, yet somehow understood. The last guardian of the sealed truth. A whisper echoed behind him. Not a threat, not a command, a voice carrying a lifetime of sorrow. "Ryuto, my son." He turned, standing before him, alive, trembling. Older but unmistakable, was his father. Ryuto froze. His mind refused to believe the image in front of him. His father, who he saw die in fire, whose face haunted his nightmares, stood breathing, real, flesh and bone. The man looked older, worn, carrying wounds that no blade could heal. But his eyes, those were the same. The eyes of the man Ryuto had lost. The silence between them cracked open with a tremble of emotion. Ryuto took a single step forward, then another, and suddenly the years of pain that built up inside him threatened to tear him apart. He wanted to scream, wanted to collapse, wanted to ask 1,000 questions. But his father reached out and placed a hand on his shoulder, grounding him. His father explained everything. That night 15 years ago wasn't just an assassination. It was a test. The Shadow Council wanted something locked deep within the Kageyama bloodline, the sealed truth. An ancient power capable of exposing all illusions, collapsing all false realities, and destroying any empire built on lies. The Kageyama clan had protected it for centuries. Ryuto's parents uncovered a prophecy that terrified the council. A child of their bloodline would awaken the truth sight to its fullest potential. That child was Ryuto. The council feared what he could become, so they struck first. Ryuto's father survived the attack by sacrificing his own life force, using ancient guardian magic to fake his death, slipping into the underworld to continue protecting the truth. He spent 15 years fighting from the shadows, watching over Ryuto from a distance, waiting for the moment his son's true power would awaken, and that moment was now. Ryuto felt his chest tighten. Everything he believed about himself shattered again. The loneliness, the confusion, the emptiness, it all made sense. His life wasn't meaningless. It was stolen, twisted, weaponized. His father placed a hand on the crystal altar. The cavern trembled as ancient power stirred. He told Ryuto that the truth power inside him had awakened the moment he discovered Kenji's betrayal. Because betrayal breaks illusions, it forces truth to surface, and now Ryuto stood at the threshold of a destiny larger than any clan, any council, any prophecy. But before Ryuto could respond, the cavern shook violently. Ayami had arrived. Her soldiers descended into the chamber with ropes and grappling hooks, their armored boots crashing against ancient stone. Ayami approached with cold eyes and a cruel smile, confident, fearless. She held a new weapon and artifact stolen from the Shadow Council's vault. Its core, hummed with stolen power. She pointed it at Ryuto's father and spoke the words Ryuto feared most. "This ends tonight." The blast hit before Ryuto could react. His father shielded him, taking the full force of the attack. Stone shattered. The cavern cracked. Light erupted like a dying star. Ryuto screamed as his father collapsed, his body fading, dissolving into particles of pure energy. With his final breath, he whispered, "Unlock the truth and choose your own path." Energy surged into Ryuto's chest. His eyes burned. The truth, every lie, every memory, every hidden thread exploded inside his mind like a sun being born. The sealed truth rushed through him, filling the emptiness that haunted him for years. Ryuto rose slowly, and for the first time in his life, he saw everything. The illusions around Ayami's soldiers, the real motives behind her smile, the secret agenda the council hid from even her, the fracture in Kenji's loyalty, the destiny the world was trying to force onto him. Ayami fired again. Ryuto didn't dodge. He caught the blast with his bare hand. The cavern shook under the weight of his unleashed power. Cracks of light wrapped around his arms, spreading like living lightning. His voice echoed with something more than human as he spoke. "My life is mine now." Ayami stepped back for the first time, fear flickering in her eyes. Ryuto didn't kill her. He didn't need to. The truth he was now capable of revealing could destroy her entire clan without shedding a drop of blood. The cavern collapsed as Ryuto walked through falling debris, unstoppable, reborn. He emerged into the night air covered in dust and ancient power, staring at the moon, the same moon that witnessed his tragedy. But he was no longer a boy running from shadows. He was the last guardian of the truth, and the Shadow Council had no idea what was coming for them.